Well, boys, today is tomorrow and Piratesoftware is in the news because the concept of not taking away things that you pay for is weird. It's abstract. It's foreign to Mr. Pirate. Mr. Eat Bobby Kodak's leather boot Thor Jason Piratesoftware cannot get the damn Blizzard out of his mouth for 10 minutes to realize that Stop Killing Games isn't a way to kill live services. It's just a way for live services to not just say, hey, game's over. Any and everything you paid for is now thrown to the wind. You don't get to own anything. Everything you spent your hard-earned money on, especially in this economy, you should be thankful that we're even still buying games in general, but everything you bought online was just vaporware. It was a psyop. You never had it in the first place. What? You thought you owned this rare Battle Pass skin from 2-3 years ago? Nope. We shut down the game and we refuse to relinquish any of the infrastructure so anyone can keep this game going. Now, you guys can't hear the passion behind those words. I'm a gamer, alright? I love video games. One of the greatest things to ever be invented. Video games, alright? And for some reason, Thor is just vehemently against Stop Killing Games. Because if you guys don't know, Stop Killing Games is an initiative started by the YouTuber Accursed Farms to basically make it to where if you want to create any kind of game, you have to have some kind of end goal to where it doesn't just disappear. Chat, imagine you buy a car, but they're like, yo, the 2028 model's out. We're repoing the 2027 model. Imagine if that was just allowed, because that's essentially what games are doing now. They're taking away your option of keeping something you paid for. Because think of something like Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1, everyone loved it. It was a great game. You paid $40. You got a great game out of it. Then they took it away, and they gave us the hell of Overwatch 2. But a few months ago, actually almost over a year ago, Accursed Farm made a video and an initiative in the UK basically trying to get as many people as he can to sign a petition to where the UK government would have to vote on a law, or at least on, this proposal to make it to where if you make a video game, you cannot take it away from someone. You have to have in mind that at some point, you're not gonna keep the game up forever. So you have to have an initiative to have it to where you can open source your game, or, have it to where someone can host servers for the game instead of it just being like, well, all that shit you paid for is in the wind. But yeah, basically that initiative is failing, mostly because of Piratesoftware, because for some reason, for a year straight, he had the most viewed video on this initiative of him just absolutely shitting on the common sense thing of if you buy something, the person that you bought it from can't just come take it away. And that video that Piratesoftware made misrepresented Stop Killing Games so bad to where it actually hurt Accursed Farms' initiative. Now, for a full year, Accursed Farms said nothing because he was just like, I don't want to turn this into a whole drama thing because we have an actual goal. We don't want to turn this into YouTube drama. We want to turn this into, you can no longer kill games, at least in the UK, which obviously if it spreads in the UK, then it's just going to spread all over the world because, that is a huge gaming market. But literally, it's like Apple finally giving us USB-C instead of the stupid lightning cable. Like, literally, the only reason why we have it in the US is because of the UK. And that's what Accursed Farm wanted to do with video games. Now, Piratesoftware, whenever it comes down to his first video that he made on this, he did seem calm and collected in the reasoning why he did not. It was still misrepresented, by the way. But yeah, he was calm and collected in the reasoning why he did not like Stop Killing Games.
This video came out right as we were building momentum. Then except for one boost in Germany, the signatures started drying up like clockwork. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games, where it is a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists, instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative.
I don't know why that cracked me up so much. God, he's so funny. But essentially, Pirate Software is misrepresenting the whole entire thing. But he did sound reasonable there, even though he was completely wrong. Just downright didn't even understand it. He didn't even read. I don't know if this boy is literate. Because if he actually read the literal first line of this initiative, instead of him just making up a completely made up scenario in his head, he would have seen that this initiative wasn't to make sure live service games don't exist. It was to make sure if you do make a live service game, you can't just snatch it away from people after they paid for it. But again, if he was just confused, that would have been one thing, and he did sound reasonable in that video. But if you guys don't know, Thor is one of the biggest Twitch streamers out there, and whenever anyone brought this up, he would turn into a literal man-child trying to eat that Bobby Kotick boot. Oh my god, he probably put A1 steak sauce on it. It's probably delicious the way he ate it.
Eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then. I dropped the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
Bro literally turned into a corporate man-child. All of this is over what he perceives as the end of live service games, whenever no one said this had to be the end of live service games or even multiplayer games in general. People just said, yo, if you're gonna stop working on the game, don't take it away from us. Allow us to preserve it and keep it going. Give us the ability to take the infrastructure that is needed to keep the game up. Let us create our own community-made servers. But of course, somehow that also was a big red flag for Jason Thor, the man that is sucking off, I'm assuming Blizzard still. I don't know if he's getting some residual checks or what in the mail, but this man is Team Blue till he dies. For some reason, he can't get the Blizzard cock out of his mouth and realize, yeah, if someone makes money off of your dead game, who the f cares? Your game was dead and you stopped making money off of it. It's like a pen company suing someone for drawing art with their pen. It's like, you weren't allowed to do that. You were only supposed to write with the pen. It's like, what? Yeah, you're only supposed to write with it. You can't draw with that. That is not how it was designed. It's like, but I bought the pen. I should be able to use the pen however the fuck I want. It's my pen. But at least if that was his only complaint about Stop Killing Games, at least it would make some kind of sense of making sure that you can retain the copyright of your, product, your game, make sure no one can make money off of it. That makes sense. But this man, for some reason, continues to go back to the turn a multiplayer game into a single player game whenever no one said you had to do that.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single-player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No.
Because they would have to sunset live service games as a single-player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single-player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No.
So obviously, this man was just wildly misrepresenting what Stop Killing Games is. Now, Accursed Farm, seeing that his initiative is not really working out too great, tried his best to actually get in contact with Pirate Software. So has also Moist Critical, who made a video, actually 2 videos on this, and they both kind of got stonewalled by this man. But before we get into them getting stonewalled, this was essentially what Piratesoftware response to everyone calling him out for basically killing this initiative that would have, reshaped and changed gaming for the good.
Let's start with this little nugget here that he deleted from last night. So he tweeted directly at Ross, the guy behind Stop Killing Games, talking about how he made those videos 10 months ago, and since then, his community's been nothing but hateful. A scourge. A fucking tyrannid threat that he must destroy. Your community is fucking rabid, and it's shit to deal with for anyone on the other side of the argument. Why do you think I haven't talked about this shit in 10 months? Why do you think we auto-mute anyone bringing it up in chat? Because it's been rage bait and shit-flinging the entire time. And just goes on about like how he is the victim of Ross's toxic, terrible community, which is hilariously hypocritical coming from Piratesoftware, when in his videos and his streams, he makes it very clear and is very rude about how much he dislikes not only Ross, but the movement. And it's not like he's being very professional and polite about it, buttoned up. The only reason he's talking about it now is because it's at the end of its life, and so many people still don't understand it because of someone like Piratesoftware misrepresenting it. So he's finally setting the record straight there. Anyway, he did delete that tweet, but just a little while ago, he made a new tweet, a very long tweet, as well as a series of tweets under it, in regards to this whole thing. And in all these words, all this mumbo-jumbo, not once does he say he was wrong about anything. In fact, he just continues to double down, even proudly stating he is doubling down. Wow, how incredibly noble, doubling down on things you are provably, blatantly wrong about. We don't need to hit the Jumbotron for the replay on yesterday's video going over so many of the things that he was incorrect about in regards to the initiative. But the point is, that is an issue that I really thought that he would address, be like, hey, yeah, I did get this part wrong. You're right, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to misrepresent it. I still don't fully agree with it, but I do recognize that I had some errors here in my coverage. That's what I was expecting. That is not what we got.
So yeah, for some reason, Piratesoftware wants to be the victim now, even though he's the one that started this. Like, literally, he's the one that started the shit flinging. He was the one that went onto his stream and started talking shit about the Stop Killing Game initiative that literally preserves video games, and then he misrepresented it. And then whenever people called him out for misrepresenting it, he was literally like, no, I didn't. I understand it fully. Excuse me, what? So now he's on this tirade of, yeah, actually, the reason why I didn't talk about your Stop Killing Game anymore is because you and your audience is mean. It's like, you started this. Like, I don't understand this. How is he not taking accountability for talking shit about Stop Killing Games on his own Twitch stream? For some reason, this man is blaming Accursed Farm for something that he had nothing to do with. Accursed Farm just put out the initiative of Stop Killing Games. Piratesoftware picked it up and then talked shit about it. But for some reason, whenever Accursed Farm's viewers and anyone else that actually has a fully developed frontal cortex lobe, this man just starts raging about people being mean because he's wrong. He doesn't understand the initiative at all. So Moist Critical and Accursed Farm both tried their best to hit up Piratesoftware and let him know, hey man, we would love to actually tell you what this initiative is about, because it seems like you are wholly confused. Brother is in a daze. Caseytron is probably more sober than Piratesoftware at this point, because this man is just drunk off of narcissism. But instead of being nice and cordial and, trying to have a respectable conversation in the DMs where everything is private and you can put the ego aside, no! He decided to make things even worse in the DMs. Also, this is a little bit of a longer clip, so hopefully Charlie doesn't mind if I just ate like 5 minutes of his video. But, go check it out. He has 2 on it, and, he goes into more detail.
And it prompted me to reach out directly to him, to talk to him, to see, like, why isn't he acknowledging that? Is there a reason? Like, what is going on there? So I did. He made it very clear he was not very happy with my coverage of Stop Killing Games, which is fine. I think that's totally fine. I'm not going to leak DMs or really go in depth on our private conversation, but the point of me reaching out to him was to talk about his refusal to acknowledge that he did, maybe unintentionally, misrepresent Stop Killing Games, and it led to a just shy of 2 hours, circular argument that ultimately got us nowhere. He was more focused on his qualms with Stop Killing Games and really liked to challenge me to prove him wrong about some of his hang-ups with it. And when I would mention, the behavior aspect, hey, you did misrepresent it, and I'd give him a timestamp. He'd then instead say how I'm wrong for thinking that he misrepresented it. We got nowhere. So I want to just publicly say this again. There are plenty of things you can disagree with when it comes to the Stop Killing Games initiative. I'll put links to it if you want to learn more about it, and you can form your own opinions on it if you want to support it. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's super normal. And I didn't reach out to try and champion that Piratesoftware should become, a huge ambassador of Stop Killing Games, out there on the fucking front lines fighting for it. It had nothing to do with that. It was simply about the misunderstanding that he showcased, maybe unintentionally, and the misrepresentation of it that he broadcast. Again, maybe unintentionally. Which has, in turn, over the course of 10 months, misled people on what the Stop Killing Games even is in the first place. Which I found to be a problem because he's never even acknowledged that as something that has happened. And because he refuses to acknowledge that, and anyone that even, tiptoes around that subject, he kind of treats as though they're fucking idiots, like me, for thinking that he's misrepresented something. Now, he did just post a tweet where he said he talked to me and Josh Strife-Hayes, and in that tweet, this will prove how useless our conversation was, unfortunately, there's not a single peep about misrepresenting what Stop Killing Games was about. It's more so about how the public just doesn't understand game development, and it kind of reads to me like we're all just too stupid to understand it from his side of things. Our conversation basically amounted to toilet paper, unfortunately. Again, I was focused on, you have done this, maybe unintentionally, you should at least say that you have, or are you aware that you did this? And then it became more of nope, I didn't. You're wrong. And then he uses our conversation at the start of this for something that was not even the focus. I was not there to try and convince him to be part of Stop Killing Games. I don't think we made any ground on, his perspective versus mine on Stop Killing Games. He has some qualms about how difficult it would be in certain cases. I agree with that, for sure. I still think overall Stop Killing Games is a net positive for the gaming industry where something desperately needs to change with a lot of these awful practices. But for the 10 millionth time in the last 2.5 hours, it was just about him having this awareness that his coverage did mislead people, and that he, maybe not maliciously or anything, misunderstood or misrepresented Stop Killing Games in numerous instances. And the way that he talked about Ross was unacceptable. That at least made it into the tweet there about the way he talked about Ross being like a fucking used car salesman type deal, and calling everything about it. He at least recognized that was too harsh. So he gave a quick I'm sorry for that, which is good. I do appreciate that, and I'm sure Ross will appreciate that as well, I imagine. But I still wanted to make this video after the conversation because I just really do not understand, I truly cannot wrap my head around why he fights tooth and nail coming for throats for anyone that tries to mention that there was misrepresentation in his coverage of the Stop Killing Games initiative. He is so hell-bent on proving he's right and everyone else is wrong that's saying these things. I just don't get it. He's just treating it like he's got the mega mind, once-in-a-generation galaxy brain that no one can possibly understand. All us plebeians are beneath him, and we're lucky that he even graces us with streams, and we're stupid for thinking that he did anything wrong here in regards to his coverage of Stop Killing Games and what it's actually about. It's just so odd to me. Because if he would just come out and be like, yeah, you know what? Looking back on it, really reflecting, hearing what you guys are saying, I can see why this was so misleading for so many people. I didn't mean for it to be, and yeah, maybe I misunderstood some of these things. This would not have been nearly as big of a deal as it has turned into. And I went back and looked at some of his previous dramas, I suppose, and that is a common thread with Piratesoftware. Like in World of Warcraft, he made a mistake, but he completely refused to acknowledge the mistake, and it made it a much bigger snowball into an avalanche for him, which led to a ton of other problems. He just has this inability to, accept that he can make mistakes. He does things wrong sometimes, and he needs to recognize that it's okay to be like, yeah, I did do that wrong.
Yeah, Charlie is completely right. This man is literally just a man-child. He cries whenever anyone calls him out on any of his bullshit. And then whenever someone's like, hey man, it's all right. We're adults. We're all wrong from time to time. He's like, I'm never wrong. Actually, his real voice is, I'm never wrong.
Hot dog needs to be peeled. Every good hot dog needs to be peeled.
But, he has to put on that fake voice that he basically admitted, talking about some, you, as an adult, you can go through a second puberty. Come on now, brother. We're not going extra height here, all right? No one's going through a second puberty. The only second puberty is if you fucking smoke a pack a day. That's your only other second puberty. This motherfucker out here putting on fake voices, having fake brain. Brother was probably just a goddamn glorified coffee maker at Blizzard. He tries to make it seem like, actually, I was this security analyst. Brother, you just walked into the security room. Hey guys, Dad, hi Dad. What kind of coffee? A mocha latte? Cream, oat milk, I got you oat milk, right? That was him at the damn Blizzard HQ. This motherfucker is a fraud, all right? Let's all just call him what he is. All he did was walk into the room half the time, listen to what the real security analysts or security people at Blizzard were talking about, and he just regurgitated it on stream. Right, because this man essentially has done nothing to prove that he's this big mega brain man that he thinks he is. His own video game still is not getting patched at the rate he said he would patch it, and anyone that calls him out on it automatically gets banned in his chat. Brother has been working on the same game for like what, 6, 7, 8 years, and I'm like, come on my guy, it's about time to wrap it up. Come on, man. People just want the game they paid for. You're still out here putting patches out, trying to quote unquote tweak the game and get out new content for it. It's like, brother, when's the game gonna be done? When is people gonna get, what they paid for? Maybe the reason why he's so vehemently against, stop killing games is because his whole thing is never to finish this one game that he's been working on for the past couple of years now. And he can just be like, oh, wait, all that shit, I promise, oops. You guys heard about Heartbound 2 though? Yo, guys, Heartbound 2, go buy it, right? And it's just all the patches that were supposed to be in Heartbound 1. But seeing he is a large creator, there are other creators that want to use him in their own endeavors whenever it comes down to making games, like Ludwig. And now people are leaving negative reviews on Ludwig's off-brand game companies. I don't know, is it their first game or second game, but Rivals 2, Rivals of Aether 2. So Ludwig responded to someone talking about how Piratesoftware was a key figure in the making of Rivals of Aether 2 and said, such a bummer. Rivals 2 is getting any shit for this. Few devs support their games as much as the Rivals of Aether's team. They still patched the original Rival game 10 years after release. People are now review bombing the game because what? Piratesoftware, who has no personal stake in the game, works at off-brand games, feels wrong. I mean, like, if it makes them feel better, people are also review bombing Heartbound. And also, if you guys don't know, review bombing means you actually have to purchase the game. You have to have the game before you can review bomb it. These are actual people in the community that bought your game, gave you money, that are showing and telling you they do not like this person that is pretty high up in the off-brand, little ecosystem, seeing that he is one of the key figures of off-brand that is helping make games. They are trying to say, we don't like this person at your company. Get rid of them. That is what they're saying. They are saying this person is actively harming your company. We are actively trying to tell you, hey, we will not be buying any more of your games if this person is continuing to work there. That is what they're trying to tell you. But yet you are taking none of that and trying to say, no, these are just haters. It's like, no, these are people that bought your game, put money in your pocket. These aren't random people. But also, speaking of, the Rivals of A13, they are against Piratesoftware as well. I don't understand why Ludwig is just sweeping for Pirate whenever the developers of the game are saying shit like this on Twitter. I've seen some discussions on the site about Rivals of Aether 2 and the Stop Killing Games initiative. We have no issues with the initiative, and I wrote a developer response on Steam Review to clear some things up. And I think it would be worthwhile to share here too. And then he showed a screenshot of his developer note on Steam. Thank you for your concerns about Rivals of Aether 2 and the Stop Killing Games initiative. Firstly, I would like to make clear that Off-Brand Games is a co-publisher of Rivals of Aether 2 and not the sole publisher. They are handling a lot of the marketing, streaming, and promotion responsibilities, but aren't directly involved with the development of the game, nor do they have any ownership in IP rights of Rivals of Aether. And Aether Studio has no issues with the Stop Killing Game initiative, and we have already taken steps to preserve our own games. Rivals of Aether is made in Game Maker and has gotten updates for over 10 years now. As we have pushed a patch this year fixing bugs, we have even gone beyond what most games would do by updating select versions of the first Rivals of Aether as Steam beta builds so players can see snapshots of what the game looked like earlier in development. Rivals of Aether 2 already supports offline play and will continue to do so even if our multiplayer servers were taken down. Players can play local matches, arcade mode, training mode, and any of the other local modes while not connected to the internet. We also have our backend developers currently working on listen servers where players can play online matches without having to connect to a dedicated server. We plan to launch them within a year, and it would allow players to continue playing multiplayer matches online even if our multiplayer servers were taken down. It is true that Rivals of Aether 2 is built more like a live service than our first game, but that is because for years we kept updating the first game as if it was a live service even though it was never intended to be one. So going into the sequel, we knew that we wanted to have systems in place to handle more frequent content releases because we have made a hardcore competitive fighting game. We know that the net isn't as wide as other multiplayer games, so a lot of our revenue comes from providing good cosmetic content to our existing fan base in order to pay our team and add new features that players are looking forward to. This was our intention long before we were approached by off-brand games and signed with them as co-publishers. While we do understand your objections with Piratesoftware's stance on stop killing games, he does not speak for our studio or dictate development of this game. I feel like that is a proper response, and unlike Heartbound, I'm sure the people that read that developer note will be, willing to change their scores back, because it seems like, hopefully Rivals of Aether 2 is in pretty great hands. People that actually care about making sure that their game is enjoyed by people long after they're done working on it. But also, speaking of Rivals of Aether 2, it is seemingly, I don't know if it actually was review bombed or not. I went to go look it up because I was like, I never heard of this game while recording this, so I went to go look it up, and it's still at mostly positive reviews. Ludwig shadowboxing again. Please don't review bomb the game. Everyone's like, we're not review bombing it. But I'm gonna be honest here, I feel like Rivals of Aether 2 probably should find a new publisher like Devolver Digital or someone else that can actually help them promote their game, because I'm gonna be honest here, I never even heard of this game before. I didn't even know they were making this game, let alone see any streamer stream this game, let alone, Ludwig, one of the biggest people in like the Smash fighting game universe. I don't ever see that boy play that shit, but his game company is supposed to be publishing it, but I ain't ever heard of it. I think they need to get a new publisher because I feel like Off-Brand is doing these boys dirty, because the game does look pretty good in my opinion. But speaking of Ludwig, it seems like he's just out here ruining everyone's life, because this man basically ruined Mango's life because a clip came out of him essentially encouraging Mango's alcoholism. Boys, click this video right here to see Ludwig lie about himself actually encouraging Mango's alcoholism. But other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.